She's the midnight mistress of fairies and dark mischief. He's the paranormal beacon of mystic fairs and government leaking. If the dark side had a prom, they would be the king and queen. They live the metaphysical and make a wicked awesome team. From every single culture in every corner of the globe, they creep the lore and legends just to keep you in the know. For some it's hyperbole, fantastical and myth. For them it's all too real and your paradigm will shift. It's forever Halloween with all treats and no tricks. He's got a thing for witches and she's all Stevie Nicks. So welcome to our carnival of the weird and the bizarre, where UFOs and curses take shape beneath the stars. Sit back, relax, open your mind and stay a few. It's time for John and Stacey, and do we have something for you? Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
Who has the high ponytail.
Yes, I do.
I'm digging the high ponytail.
I'm gonna wear it more often because you like it.
I do like it. It reminds me of like a oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Hey, so it's a new week.
It is.
And I am 100% organic.
Yes, you are.
I mean, normally I'm organic anyway, but I'm eating organic.
Yes.
People. 100%. We talked about it for a long time. Went through some little trials, tribulation diets. And I'll tell you, folks, stress is a killer. Stress is a weight gaining machine.
Yes, it is.
So I have had some super mondo stress for a couple of months, especially. And we all have, Stacey and I being all. And we've definitely eaten our stress, stress cakes.
Stress ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Stress ice cream, stress pizza parlors, stress hamburger joints.
Exactly.
All this stuff. And, you know, it's just one of those things that happens, right? Combination of living in a terrible cold, and the state's wonderful.
It is.
It's just the cold is not so wonderful.
Right.
So it gets dark, you know, I don't know, at 12:30 during the winter. And it's just, you know, you get like the 3 hours of sunshine and
something like that. Yeah.
And that's all snow. So it gets kind of harrowing once you get a couple of months into it, right? It gets kind of weird.
It does. A little bit.
A little bit depressing, a little bit, you know.
I think it's finally going to be spring now, though.
Well, it's the state is so beautiful that once you get to spring, I mean, you're shaking your fist at Mother Nature, like, you know, February, March, you know, the whole time. And then it's all of a sudden it's beautiful. And you're like, oh, kind of Monty Python, you know,
right.
What a beautiful day. And
then you're fine.
Completely fine. You're taking pictures, you're Instagramming, you're out there, you know, like in the leaves come fall. You're like, this is such a beautiful place. It's going to be a mild winter. It's not going to affect my business. It's going to be wonderful. And then it dumps. Yep. It all dumps on you. First month is kind of like, oh, hey, look at the snow. Show the baby the snow, you know? Right. And then that's done. Yeah. That's done. Your car's being eaten alive by salt, and you've got the madman neighbor out there. Man, it could be a man or I don't know. I don't want to offend them. I mean, other than the fact that they're crazy, right? Which crazy is fine. If you're really crazy, you're crazy. Just own it, live it. Exactly. Okay. And you got all these things building up, you know, and we've had some family things, you know, with the word about Ariana and stuff like that, you know. So it's really been an interesting winter.
It has.
So all these contributing factors have, you know, put the freshman 15 on. So I've been trying to find something, and, you know, just to not feel so crappy. And, you know, when you work all the time and you're just always, you're always out. So it's nowhere to eat good. Right. I mean, there's not really good eating.
No, because it's so much easier just to grab something fast food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is terrible for you.
So any diet that I'm doing, it's hard to do it.
It is.
It's really hard to do it. And then when I'm having a bad day, the first thing I do, when I'm having a bad day, I go to McDonald's and I'm like, I need 10 cheeseburgers, please. Ketchup only. I need a milkshake. I need some fries. Do you guys have chili fries?
I don't even have to ask how your day is going.
It's like, no, sir, we don't have chili fries. Could you put some chili on some fries for me, please? And, you know, I get up there and I always go into like their adjoining parking lot.
Right.
I don't want to do it in their parking lot because I know how nasty I'm getting ready to get. I know how dirty I'm getting ready to become. So when I'm having one of these days, right?
Right.
And I can, you know, a lot of times when a female is upset, I have noticed you guys go for the fridge and get ice cream, and you go put on some socks, watch Grey's Anatomy, and eat a crap ton of, you know, ice cream, right?
Right.
So this is how I do it when I'm out at a store, you know, and then I'm really upset, and I go and over into a adjoining parking lot, and I'll just sit there, and I mean, I'm just nasty with it. I'm just dirty with it. And I feel like such a bad girl when I'm done. It's so bad. So then you feel all fat, right? And when you eat like that, you feel like all fat and nasty. Then you're just angry. And I'll get like the phone call from somebody, just, you know, hey, John, and I'm just like, you know, just completely, you know, hell Satan level of anger. So I know there's a lot of guys out there. It's just like, you know, wow. Don't call John. I think they have like an alert system.
Right.
You know, but
certain times of the day. I can always tell. I don't even have to ask you how your day's going. I can just like go on the bank account and see where you ate lunch.
Yeah.
Oh crap. No, I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I eat lunch, it's probably a bad day. You know,
exactly.
It's really a bad day because preference, I don't eat lunch.
No, I know.
You know, so now we're doing this organic thing, and it's surprisingly nice.
Yeah.
Like so far, knock on wood, I have not eaten anything I didn't like.
No, and I mean, there's so many options.
Oh, it's great.
Like I was really pleasantly surprised when I went to buy you stuff just to eat organically.
Yeah.
You know, just because I wanted you to have snacks and stuff you could take with you to work, and you know, things that you liked. And I was really surprised at the level of options.
It tastes better.
Yeah.
I think it tastes better.
I'm sure it does.
I mean, it's weird because now I'm in that 2-day area, and you're starting to really start to feel the effects. So I could feel something is different. Definitely feel something. And it's kind of like I liken it to when I quit tobacco.
Right.
After about 3 days of quitting tobacco, I started, you know, I was like, oh my God, I'm shaking. I'm having a hard time. I need to put a dip in. Right.
Right.
So I went to put one in, and it was like I could taste the poison. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
After doing that my entire life, it was like I could taste the poison. You know, like when I quit smoking years and years ago, the first time you're at a you know, in like an amusement park, and somebody's smoking, and two people up ahead of you, you can smell it. I mean, after you've been a smoker or a drinker or anything like that, you become like a hound dog. I mean, that's how I know that everybody's parents actually were wild when they were teenagers.
Right.
Because you know how your parents, you could come home and man, you could have used Listerine, you could have eaten bonbons, whatever. You got the Visine going on up in there. You know, you're wearing the perfume. You've done everything you can, right?
Right.
You get home, and the first thing, right? They're just like, Stacey. Is that cigarettes I smell, Stacey? They smoking at the church lock-ins? Have they started smoking at the church lock-ins, Stacey? What's wrong with your eyes? And, you know, and you're freaking out because you know what you've done.
Right.
You're like, what? What? Yeah, no. You know. So yeah, I think that all comes from when you've done it.
Right.
You can smell that stuff.
Oh yeah.
You actually know what's going on. But yeah, I'm digging it. I'm liking it. I think I'm gonna stick to it.
Yeah, I
just
think
from
so.
health reasons.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
It's weird, man. You know, you start once you get on something, you can really tell, like, oh my God, I can't believe we put all these chemicals in our body.
It's one of those things where you're going to eat organic for a while, and then if you ate something that wasn't organic, you'd probably be like, ugh. Yeah. That tastes weird.
Well, it's just weird. It's just weird when you look and you see a label and you see all these things you don't understand. And I think that's really what got me on it was someone saying, why would you put something in your body that you can't pronounce?
True.
You know?
True.
And I was like, whew. Well, I mean, that wouldn't apply to like people I grew up with. Right. Because they'd be like, tomato, you know. But with most people is what I'm talking about. Right. So, you know, something funny from the Bruce Wayne job, since we're talking about it. So even Bruce Wayne has reviews. Okay.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It might be from Alfred, but he still has reviews. Right. So, you know, you would think this would be like the wonderful time of the year for me because it'd be, the time we get to reflect on all the hard work and dedication that I put in, which is quite a bit of hard work and dedication.
Right.
But it's not. It's like one of the worst days of my year. And I think a lot of my stress comes from the fact that, like, I don't, a lot of people, they're just like, if they get a visit or something, it's just like, well, this is, they'll see it how it is, and that'll be that. That's not me, man. I am the no time for sergeants, clean that latrine, make sure, So they switched it up on me at the last second. The two stores I was going to go to, they're just like, no, we're going to go to this other store. And the other store is fine from a business end.
Right.
Like it's killing it, right? It's just destroying it. And probably they're beating their last year more than any other store that I've seen in one side of my business.
Right.
So anyway, we get there but it's still like it's like on my short list of like places that I would like to get the toothbrush into the corners.
Right.
Do a few things here and there. But so you remember in Harry Potter, and when they were waiting on their OWLs,
right?
And Ron was like, Hermione, are you upset because you're upset because you didn't get 10?
Yeah,
she got like 9 OWLs.
Oh yeah,
and she was upset because she got 1 exceeds expectations,
right?
Instead of outstanding,
right?
That's totally me.
Yes, I agree.
If I get 9 OWLs, like if I get 9 outstandings and I get that 1 exceeds expectations, that 1 exceeds expectations bothers me. Like, no, I mean, honestly, it depresses me. It puts me in a funk. It doesn't matter what else you say after that. It's just, that's the only thing I'm focused on.
Right.
And I get it fixed. I kill it usually. But, you have to have a lot of great people around you to be able to do these things. Right. So I try not to project that onto those people, right? Because it's kind of like, hey, but the funny thing was, the only thing funny about what I just said was I'm insane. Yeah, that it bothers me to
to have that one wrong thing.
To have the one wrong thing. So yeah, it's really funny. I mean, I've got these people that work for me that listen to the show, and people I work for that listen to the show, and have for years. I've never once hid anything about me, right? Because I can separate it, and I expect other people to be able to separate it, But I think it's weird for them sometimes.
Is it? Why? Because you are like unfiltered?
Well, no. I mean, I'm unfiltered, at work. I think that's what's weird for them is that to have me with some sort of filter, as I am here. No, if something goes wrong at work, you are not hearing the John that you hear now.
That's true.
No, completely not. So I don't know. I enjoy what I do, and with this and with that, it's a really great experience. Always has been. But yeah, it really bothers me when it doesn't. You know how it is. Even on the podcast, if I don't like the sound, I mean, it's.
Oh yeah. 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 Well, I mean, I do weird things all the time, and I nitpick at things that I do that are really strange. Like when I say things wrong, right? It bothers me crazy. I know when we were doing the vlogs, we were recording the vlogs and we were watching the vlogs back, there's this one part where I talk funny. It's not the way I sound. Like I talk out of the side of my mouth, and it's the weirdest thing, and it drives me.
You should never have told people that.
Crazy. And it's funny because it's when you're sitting next to me, I guess. I don't know why I do it, but I was watching it and I was like,
I think you're crazy.
Am I talking out of the side of my mouth?
Don't talk out of the side. You don't talk out of the side of your mouth. You're insane. Don't tell me stuff like that, though. If I notice it, I'll have to divorce you.
You're going to see it now.
Yeah. The news flash next week will be John leaves Stacey over talking out of the side of her mouth.
It's weird because we've talked about before how things bother me, like the Tom Cruise thing, like about different people. And I don't mean for it to bother me, but it does.
Freaking jaw is out of line.
But see, I'm critical of myself too. Things about myself bother me like that too. So
it shouldn't. It's what makes you perfect.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
It's I mean, I think that any of the things that make us individuals is what makes us perfect. And the especially with you, your quirks are just the most endearing thing in the world. I love your quirks.
Good.
I was watching this next gen level graphics engine. Okay. And it's the Unreal Engine 4, actually, if you want to look it up. So go look up a video on the Unreal Engine 4 on YouTube. And some of the graphics are just amazing. I mean, will blow your mind.
Right.
So they use Daenerys, and they use one of the hobbits from the Hobbit franchise. They use a bunch of different people. Then they have this one just AI girl who it's just terrifying because she looks like a real person.
Wow.
Absolute real person. And this new face capture stuff they have that is just unreal. I mean, it is unreal. It's the same as sitting looking at me.
That's crazy.
It is bananas. But, you know, when I was watching that, I realized what was so beautiful about it was they would, if you watch these videos, they do extreme close-ups of the faces. And a lot of the faces, like Jyn Erso from Rogue One.
Right.
One of her eyes is open more than the other eye. Okay, it's just mismatched.
Right.
And the symmetry is a little bit off, right? But it makes it beautiful, it makes it real, and it makes it human. And when they zoomed in on some other people, like they would have like a bump on their nose or like a little mole here, and
it's crazy it can map it that well.
Yeah, just imperfections.
Well, I don't think people's faces are perfectly symmetrical anyway, are they?
Well, they're not, but that's the problem. Even the word I just used of being imperfections, that shouldn't be the word.
Right.
It should not even be. It's just what makes you you.
Right.
And your uniqueness, you know, and that's what we should always call it. I don't think it should be imperfections, because I think that, you know, everybody honestly is beautiful for being individuals.
So there you go. The new software captures their uniqueness.
Uniqueness.
There you go.
Absolutely. and I just thought it was cool, and it kind of goes with that, you know. Don't ever think that it's, you know, if you talk out of the side of your mouth, you do it more beautiful than anybody does. And maybe that would explain, maybe we should turn the microphone over to the side of your face.
I don't think I do it all the time.
Get a little bit louder. It might come from that, like turning your head and reading the stories.
Oh, maybe.
All these years. So you're talking out of the side of your mouth because you trained yourself. You're like, you're in other news.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of that.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes sense. You've solved it.
All right. Well, I tell you, you can find more about that at paranormalsideshow.com. That's where you find out everything, imperfections. Facebook.com/paranormalsideshow, imperfection away.
Uniqueness.
On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. That's pretty unique. On Instagram, Hot Unique Damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. That's where you find all our videos. You can find the show up there as well. And you can find our vlog, the Till Death vlog. Please take a quick moment to like, follow, subscribe, or even possess our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc., etc., etc. Yada, yada, yada. It's everywhere. So wherever you like to listen, that's where we're watching you from. Please go out of your way to like, follow, subscribe, possess, whatever. Showcase your inner weird and support your favorite paranormal podcast. And then come back and support us by checking out all of our new t-shirt designs at tpublic.com/user/paranormal sideshow. That's tpublic, TEE, public, one word, .com/user/paranormal sideshow. And on there, you're going to find our #believer shirts that we are really behind. We've talked about these for 10 years and are finally doing it. So if you have an idea for a #believer shirt, please give us an idea and let us know, and we'll make it a shirt. The UFO, Bigfoot, Mothman, Nessie, and the little people is the newest one. We use a little garden gnome with our artiste extraordinaire, Raja Edwards, is doing our designs, including her new one she did of Billy, the sideshow bearded lady. I want it to be a bit ambiguous with Billy's name.
There you go. Yes, that's the side show off shirt.
Yes, that is the side show off, and that's what we lovingly call our listeners. Is the side show offs.
Yes.
Because my God, they are just a bunch of show offs. I love it. But Scientists Are Baffled is another one of the shirts that we really enjoy because something we say all the time.
Yes.
And you know, #Mommy Daddy Time. Speaking of #Mommy Daddy Time,
I need that shirt.
Yeah,
I'm getting one of those.
I need some #Mommy Daddy Time. But yeah, that's one of the shirts, and it's very simple. It just says #Mommy Daddy Time. And then we've got the logo shirt. So, and I would like to thank our good friend and always charter member for life, B, for I see you, B. for Brandy for actually buying the logo shirt. So we appreciate that, and you sporting it out there for us.
That's right.
But speaking of sport and stuff, it's time for some paranormal news.
All right, well, let's get to the news.
Let's.
Okay, so the first few stories that we're going to talk about are actually updates. I actually have quite a few updates today.
Well, good. You have updates quite often. I'm glad you keep up with it.
You're going to like this first update because it is your favorite person.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Mad Mike.
Mad Mike
Mad
Hughes,
Mike.
who successfully launched his rocket.
No, shut your mouth.
Saturday.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes. So
is he alive?
He is.
Oh, I mean, no, that's good.
Yes.
I was going to communicate with him live on the show.
No, he is alive and well. Well, a little sore probably today.
Alive and fairly well.
Yes. So what happened was they finally rescheduled the launch for yesterday, Saturday, which would have been the 24th.
Right.
And he was out in the desert, and in that place where the guy's letting him use his land.
Right.
To
of course
launch
he is. Wouldn't you?
Launch his rocket.
I'd be out there with a 12-pack of beer, and I would start drinking again just to sit there in the lawn chair and watch Mad Mike.
So what he did was he got it all set up. And it actually had another gentleman that was kind of helping him with the launch. And there were a few little complications, and they were afraid they were going to have to scratch it again.
Were there, really?
But he said, no, absolutely not.
The Campbell soup cans
We're not going to scratch
link
it.
together
It was like it
correctly.
didn't get hot enough or something like that.
Yeah.
And there is a video on his Facebook page. I'm going to link to it. And I watched it. You can watch the video of him launch. And there's no countdown.
God, please tell me it's like an old, sharp, full-size VHS camcorder.
No.
Taped to his freaking leg.
No, but it's really funny because there's like a truck, and then there's like this launch thing sticking straight up in the air. It looks like a ladder. And then there's his rocket, and he's sitting on it. He gets in, and he's laying back, and the thing just shoots straight up into the air. And
do they have to light a fuse? I mean...
I'm not exactly sure. It wasn't close up enough to see, like Wile E. Coyote, lighting the fuse. No. So he actually got up about 1,875 feet into the air. It's
not particularly high.
It's not particularly high. He was only up for just a few minutes, and then the rocket started to come down.
What do you mean he was up for a few minutes? Did he actually go up and hang for a second? Or?
Well, no, I mean, to get up there, and, it took a few minutes to get all the way up.
I thought maybe he got up there and is like...
just looked around.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No. And then the rocket started coming back down. He did had a parachute on it, so he let the parachute go, but he was still coming down too fast, so he had to deploy a second parachute. He landed, the nose broke off, which is what it's designed to do, and he was fine. And so to him, this was a very successful test.
Better than some that come out of Russia.
Exactly. I mean, this was his dream to launch his own rocket, and he did it, and it was successful. And
so this wasn't the one that shot through and went into a hot air balloon.
No. That's planned for later. This was the test to make sure he could shoot the rocket. Like, I saw a lot of people being like, how is he supposed to prove that the Earth... This was not to prove the Earth was flat. I mean, he could have got in a commercial plane and gone higher than this. I mean, this was not that high. This was just testing the homemade rocket.
29,000 feet below cruising height of a commercial plane.
Exactly. So this was just testing the rocket. His actual big plan that in this article he calls a raccoon.
Oh my God.
Is the rocket that's carried in the atmosphere by a gas-filled balloon, and then it's separated from the balloon and it's lit, and that's supposed to take him 68 miles up. That's his plan. It's
going to take him 68 miles. So he's going straight from 1,500 feet
to 68 miles.
In the raccoon.
Yes, in the raccoon. Raccoon. Yes.
Raccoon.
It's one word, raccoon, yes.
Something about raccoon just does not appeal to me. I don't know if maybe we need to talk to the people in Mad Mike marketing.
Something, I don't know. It's not a very good name, is it?
No, it's
well,
no.
If you put this launch and compare it to the one he did a couple years ago, because he did launch one in 2014, his first ever. At that time, he only went 1,374 feet, and it took him like 3 days to recover. See, this time he went higher, and he is a little banged up, but he said he'll probably be sore tomorrow, but he's fine. He's fine. So it's an improvement. He has made progress.
Oh, well, maybe he used the right kind of trash this time. I love the fact that the guy just pieces together PCB pipe and other trash and makes rockets. I mean, this is just amazing. I love Mad Mike.
I know. Well, and he did basically say, I said I was going to do it. I did it. There you go.
Did he?
He did.
Did he do it?
He did what he said he was going to do. Launch his homemade rocket in the desert.
Well, I think we need to refresh. If you're a first-time listener right now, you have no idea who Mad Mike is, what we're talking about. Mad Mike, you want to tell a little origin here?
Well, Mad Mike is just a retired limo driver. He's, like in his 60s, and he built a homemade rocket in his garage because he wanted to launch himself. Now, when he first started this whole...
Do we know if there's a Mrs. Mike?
I'm assuming not, because he did say that he wanted to, he was glad he was done. He was going to go home, have dinner, and see his cats.
Yeah.
So he didn't mention a Mrs. Mike.
Okay. All right. Well, you wouldn't think there was.
No.
Not because Mad Mike's not a devastatingly handsome man.
No,
just from
of course not.
Just from his bravado alone. It's just that,
I don't know of a lot of wives that would put up with.
Well, no. See, normally the smart side of a plan comes from the wife. So
where she goes, you shouldn't piece together those cans and fly in space.
In my history, I can remember, backyard, fireworks displays and throwing empty bottles at friends to make it like a video game where they had to dodge. And you weren't very keen with any of those.
No.
Because you wanted to save lives and eyes and all that stuff. So that's the only reason I asked. But pray continue.
Okay. So he built this rocket in his garage. He transformed this trailer into like a launch thing. And it was his dream to launch this rocket. And along the way, he let it be known that he believed that the Earth was flat. And so he kind of went in league with the flat earthers. Right. And they helped support.
Which we believe to be we believe him to be not insincere, but insincere to get the support to be able to launch.
He claims that he's done several interviews where he claims he believes the Earth is flat. He believes in a lot of different conspiracy theories. A lot.
All right.
So
nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. So he did do it, and I don't know when his raccoon is scheduled to be built or launched, but that is his goal, and I do believe he is still planning on filing paperwork to run for governor of California.
Well, that I believe.
That is possible.
That one is possible. I can see that happening. We have a lot of listeners in California, and I would implore you to vote for Mad Mike.
Yes, because Mad Mike will be a great governor.
I mean, can you imagine the ad slogan? Vote for Mad Mike. And see, will launch us into the future. Hi, I'm Mad Mike.
Slightly launch us into the.
I'm Mad Mike. Here in California, I don't think we need to use resources from everyone else. I believe we have just enough resources lying around to make us do anything we need to do. So I would like to propose that we just cut ourselves off from the rest of these crazy people and build it all ourselves.
He did build a rocket.
He did.
So it can be done.
Ingenuity and limo driving skills. So, oh God, I love him.
All right. Well, let's go on to our next update.
All right.
And this is the one about the California woman doing the Bigfoot lawsuit.
The Bigfoot lawsuit. It sounds like a dance. It's really popular with the kids these days.
Where she filed
the Bigfoot lawsuit.
The lawsuit against the San Bernardino Superior Court.
Lawsuit. Sorry.
The California Department of Fish and Wildlife, because they didn't recognize Bigfoot, remember?
Yes.
And her name's Claudia Ackley, and she was working with that Todd Standing
guy.
They
didn't recognize Bigfoot as a person. They would recognize him if he was walking in a courtroom. Unless he had the fake nose and glasses on.
That's true. Then they'd be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
In the fur coat. I don't know. So what happened was instead of going to court, she asked them to dismiss the case before it even went to court.
Why?
Well, apparently her and a paralegal are the ones that wrote up the complaint. And she was afraid that the way it was written,
stupid.
Yeah, it wouldn't hold up in court. And so they want to redo it. They want to use different lawyers. And yes, this is what they're saying.
Right.
And so they want to take their time. And they want to get some lawyers to vet it. They want to make sure they've done it appropriately so that they have a better shot at it.
Yes.
And even Todd Standing said that they have a lot of work to do and the legal action was going to be enormous and it might take months or possibly even years.
Yeah. Yeah. So they got their 15 seconds.
Right.
And decided, hey, this might not work.
Yeah, we should probably not go to court over this.
Yeah, maybe not this. Maybe not this.
Maybe not.
Bigfoot probably isn't there anymore with all the wildfires.
Right.
No self-respecting Bigfoot's going to stick around for that. And the only way he can get out is obviously in the glasses and the hat.
Right.
And the fake nose. From now on, I'm going to go with that theory as the reason people don't see Bigfoot.
Okay. He's in disguise.
He's in disguise.
There you go.
And that disguise obviously works.
It obviously.
Like Clark Kent in the glasses.
Nobody knows he's Superman.
Nobody.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, let's go on.
Yep.
Okay, so the next update, this is just sort of something I wanted to bring up because it was kind of a little bit funny. It was about the voicemail that we talked about
I think I went heavy on the bay leaves.
I think so.
I really do. Well, we got to talk about something. It's like the elephant in the room. You're kind of speeding through all this. So we took a few-hour break in between the first part of the show and the second part of the show.
Right.
I know we like the miracle of, like the little magic, pull the curtain back and everything.
Right.
But before that last story was actually where the break was, if you want to go back and listen and see.
They can probably tell because we usually change the way we talk when we're gone.
Because now it's much later on
we're
Sunday.
We're a lot more tired.
Yeah. And the bay leaves are just burning like crazy. It's like a bay leaf forest fire in here.
It is.
But anyway, the crazy thing is reason we had to stop earlier. The reason we had to stop earlier. So there's no snow. Okay. Well, there's snow out there that's piled up.
Right. But it hasn't snowed.
Yeah, it hasn't snowed in a while. I mean, it's a snowpack. It's here till July. But it's this guy. Just unexplicit. I mean, there's no way to really tell you what he was doing because we don't know.
We have the weirdest neighbors.
We're sitting here and we're doing this program and it's already nighttime, right? It's already dark. Mm-hmm. And outside the window, down the street, we hear
our smoke alarm going off from the bay leaves.
Oh my God.
Hold on. Okay, we're back. Just excuse that minor interruption. John set off our smoke alarms with his bay leaf fire.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Well, they work.
That's true. We like to test those every now and then.
Wow. Okay, so
the neighbor
down the street. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, the neighbor down the street. We're sitting here. We're doing the show. It's nighttime. It's safe. It's clear skies. And we hear.
No, this is not the neighbor with the snowplow. It was so loud.
So we didn't know if he was like sawing a log, what was going on. We sit here and stare at each other for about 30 seconds. And she could see me boiling. I mean, I'm boiling. I'm mad. I'm just like shaking. And she's like, do you want to go out there and see what's going on? I'm like, no. No, I would kill him. No. So Stacey goes out there in her socks.
I went all the way, I opened the door and I went all the way down the front walk, all the way to the street. And I looked down the street, and this is like a neighbor way down the street. This is not the snowplow neighbor. This is somebody else.
I bet they're related.
And there is some guy down there, and I really don't know what he was doing because it's dark, so I can't really see him.
It's the same guy I yelled at.
But he has a leaf blower out on the sidewalk, and he's blowing, and there's dust and smoke coming up. It reminded me of that scene from The Exorcist where the priest is walking to the house, and there's the fog. Yeah. That's kind of what it was, all this fog, and you could just see this figure walking down there, and he was leaf blowing. I have no idea what he was doing. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we had to stop recording.
Yeah, because he didn't stop.
No.
It just kept going.
I don't know what he was blowing around.
It was just ridiculous. It's just utterly ridiculous. I don't know what it is. If there's an alarm on top of our house, like a little light that goes off that says, hey, they're recording.
It's time to make some noise.
Let's mess with them, or it's the government.
That's what it is.
I truly believe there's an FBI van down the street, and they're like, hey, they're recording again. Let's do it.
Send out the leaf blower guy.
Yeah. You know it's what it is. And they're just right down the street.
Oh,
damn you, FBI.
All right. Well, shall we move on?
We shall. Let's go back to the story. I so rudely interrupted.
That's
I apologize.
okay. That's okay. It was just an update about that voicemail story. It really isn't actually an update about the particular voicemail story. This is just a theory that has come out. This is kind of strange, but there's a theory about this voicemail that Stephen Hawking sent it before he passed away.
Oh my God.
That he was warning everybody of an alien attack that was going to happen in April.
He's getting me from beyond the grave.
Well, this is just a theory. And the reason they have this theory is because one of the coded messages that we were talking about, one of them was in Morse code.
Right.
And when somebody translated the Morse code, there was a line in there about Stephen Hawking. And so obviously that just led to the theory that Stephen Hawking sent the messages in the first place.
So unfortunately, I did see this. And unfortunately, it made a lot of sense. So from the time that he died, the time they suspect he died,
right,
it would have coincided with this. The first message would have been received, right? Pretty much right after he died. And, you know, so that's kind of interesting.
So kind of like a thing that was like programmed or something to go.
So basically you're saying like a Julian Assange thing, like a Dead Man Switch.
Yeah, something like that.
Which, you know, I had the band Dead Man's Hand. I've always wanted a band since I heard about that called Dead Man Switch. It's very, isn't that a cool name?
It is. It is.
Like, I want the Dead Man Switch.
Well, another reason why I got this.
I'm going to make one. It's got all my secrets about everybody.
Oh.
Like all of, like, I'm going to make.
You'll have people here trying to keep you alive.
Yeah. I'm going to have
all the time.
like who's gay, like, you know, who's not, who hit on me. Like friends of mine that have had affairs that nobody would know, but all that stuff, I'm just going to have like a top 10 and it'll make sure that I'm safe. Right?
Probably. I don't know.
Unless somebody wants to get to me before there's a switch.
There you go.
And they're like, hey.
And now that you've said it, they're like, quick.
No way he could have made it yet. No, I mean, yeah, I don't think that. I was thinking more paranormal. We know that some of our favorite paranormal activity is when of course it's tragic, but somebody passes away and then you hear about somebody getting a voicemail or somebody getting an actual phone call.
Like phantom phone calls.
Well, yeah, they get or they get a phone call and talk to somebody and then find out they were dead.
Yeah, that's weird.
Get a voicemail like, you know, Bobby, I love you. Which that would just be done. Listen, if you die, for the love of God, don't leave the kids a voicemail.
I don't think I would do that. That'd be very traumatic.
If you left a voicemail saying, Ariana, I love you, and she knew you had been dead 30 minutes, the girl will never sleep again. So please.
She'd never check her voicemail again.
Oh my God.
Well, another reason why I grabbed this is because it mentioned this paper that Stephen Hawking had wrote and he submitted for peer review about 2 weeks before he passed away. And I thought it was really cool because it was a paper all about the evidence of a multiverse that he's saying is detectable in the background radiation of our own universe.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool, you know, him with this whole multiverse theory.
Flash.
And that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this is kind of weird, but, you know, like a week ago, there's some timey-wimey stuff going on. Let's just say that right now you're listening to this episode, and there would have been a story here that's not here. The reason is, when we were doing the episode, it mysteriously went poop and went away. It just disappeared. It went bye-bye. So Stacey was editing the show, and it just wasn't there. We don't know why. And it's not, these things are not for us to decide. These things are not for us to decide right now.
Yes. It was really strange because there was no empty space or anything. It was just, we were talking about the story they just heard. And instead of the next story, it was just something random we had been talking about. And I know we get off subject, but I was very confused. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about the Chinese rocket falling to Earth. Okay. By this point, you guys know we wanted to put out both these episodes. So just so you know, it is right now. We're going to go back to your regularly scheduled programming. But this is a week later that is being timey-wimeyed in here.
Yes.
Because we lost that whole big point, that whole big part. And honestly, we wanted to wait for that Chinese rocket just to go ahead and fall.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about it on the next episode.
Big story coming up on the next one.
Let me set up what they're getting ready to hear, though, because I didn't want to cut out anything we did originally. And it's going to cut back in the middle of the story. So basically, it cut out everything we were talking about the Chinese space station, although you made a joke that perhaps they were bombing us very slowly.
Yes.
And they were just going to start a war with their very slow falling space station.
Right.
So when it cuts back in, you're going to hear you say, speaking of war, and see, we weren't speaking of war. So it was very confusing.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's what you're going to hear when it comes back, and then it'll continue.
So they're going to hear the whole theory I have about the China and.
No, they're just going to hear a story.
Okay.
About...
So here comes the theory. The whole theory was with all the things we have going on with China, with the trade embargoes and all this, and China has basically declared war without guns. And there's been a lot going on back and forth. If you just look at like Taiwan and they're like, hey, you better not do deals with America. And they're putting an aircraft carrier through a little strait between China and Taiwan and just showing some muscle. So at the time, which now we know, spoiler alert, we know where the Chinese satellite fell.
Right.
But at the time, there was still that little hope. Not hope. Jesus, that's terrible. There was that little thing that
it
could have fell. And I was like, leave it to anybody, to China, to do the indiscreet, because what could you do, right? Like, oops. We didn't mean to drop it. We just destroyed everyone. But there's a lot of stuff going on, so it wouldn't surprise me. And that was that. And this is your regularly scheduled programming. We love you all. Stranger things have happened.
I just can't wait till we get to do the show where we actually say it fell. It finally fell.
Speaking of war.
Yeah.
You know how much I love Japan.
Right.
I would move to Japan tomorrow.
Yes, you would. I
love the Japanese. I love everything Japan.
Right.
They have so much respect. As a culture, they have so much just, I love different cultures for different reasons. Like I love Australia. Do you know why? There's nothing that's outside the box of being able to say in Australia. Like they don't have a PC culture. Right. At all.
Well, I mean, when you can die at any second,
in Australia, in Australia, you can bash somebody's face in if they get in a fight. Like if somebody punches you in a bar, you can destroy them and you don't go to jail. You can't even sue the person because they started a fight with you. Right. That's awesome, right? Yeah. So you can call dumb people dumb, ugly people ugly.
So you can tell the truth.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like I really love that. But going back to Japan, I'm just saying I love every culture for their own reasons. Right. Right. I love Brazil because in my head, they all start MMA at 3 years old. It's like a prerequisite. Right. It's like we teach you, Portuguese and we teach you Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Right. Everybody gets a Gracie. So the Japan, because they're clever and because they're smart and funny. So they can't, because of what happened, unfortunately, with World War II, they're part of the peace accord and the surrender was the fact that they had to sign to the Allies in their surrender that they wouldn't, build an army that was going to ever go anywhere else. Right. And they just can't, they could have an army there for defense. Right. But only for mainland defense, not for going out, not for anything like that. And they couldn't have things like aircraft carriers. Right. So they've got these new ships and they've really been chomping at the bit to get in this whole war game. And, there's a lot of money there. A whole lot of money. So even the people there are kind of like, oh, man, we got a lot of money. We have a big country. It sure would be nice if we, had, bigger weapons. And to be fair, as much as I love Japan, you've not been very good with your nuclear arsenals as it is. I don't know if I want you to have any more nuclear stuff there. But they've made these ships. And they're totally aircraft carriers that they're calling helicopter carriers because it's a loophole.
Aren't helicopters aircraft?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Because it's a loophole. Right. Okay. And helicopters can't do nearly the damage that a bunch of jets are going to do.
I get it.
So it's the paint on top that makes it look like all these helipads.
Right.
But they're very long. It's a freaking aircraft carrier. It is an aircraft carrier. And who in the hell has ever heard of a giant helicopter carrier?
I wonder how long it took him to figure out that loophole.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I seen this Vice episode where they're talking about it.
Right.
And the woman, this girl, she's on the ship. And she's like, I've been on aircraft carriers in the United States. This totally is an aircraft carrier. And he's just like, no. This is a helicopter. And it's so funny because the paint out there in the shape of helicopters.
Does it have big H's?
Yes. It's just so funny because it's just like, this is not an aircraft carrier. It could be painted on the side.
This is not an aircraft carrier.
This is not an aircraft carrier. But I just thought you would appreciate that because
that is pretty funny. That is funny.
I just love stuff like that.
All right. Well, let's move on to our first story. That's not an update.
Not an update.
Okay. So this is a story about the Atacama alien skeleton.
Oh,
supposedly they did some genetic tests on it.
Right.
And took some DNA and tested it and said
found out it was a Viking.
That it is not a Viking.
Not a Viking.
That is what they were even looking for.
All right.
They were just like, we're going to do this test, see if it's a Viking.
Yes.
So if you don't know what the Atacama alien skeleton is, it's like a 6-inch humanoid, figure that was found in an abandoned nitrate mining town in 2003.
Looks like 8 inches to me.
Yeah, it would. So it was reportedly wrapped in white cloth, tied with a velvet ribbon, and it was only 6 inches tall. The bones had some features of a child, like age 6 to 8. And instead of having 12 pairs of ribs, it only had 10. And the head was like an elongated cone shape.
Right.
So it's been this mystery for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things to it.
Right. So everybody was claiming, this is an alien. It's too weird. So they did some DNA testing, and they found out that it was actually human. And that it was just a girl that had severe gene deformities.
Right. I would say. Yes.
Yes.
So keep going.
The man's name is Gary Nolan. He's a professor of microbiology and immunology at Stanford University. And he wanted to study it. So they took the DNA and they tested it, and they actually published their analysis, and they found out that it was a girl who carried mutations of at least 7 genes that are known to cause major skeletal malformations. And they guessed that she probably didn't really live to be as old as her bones make her seem. Like they feel like she was stillborn or died right as soon as she was born.
Yeah,
she was
because
so
she's
tiny.
6 bleeding inches. Yeah.
Right. But her bones were like aged.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Was the weird thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get to that. I'm letting you get yours out.
So their explanation is that these deformities and these gene mutations that they don't really understand is why this skeleton looks the way that it does. That it is in no way, absolutely not alien.
All right. So let me just talk about a few things here.
Okay.
All right. So what are some of the strange features of our little Chilean mummy here?
Okay. So it's 6 inches long. That's it.
Right.
It has the cone-shaped elongated skull.
Right.
She only has 10 pairs of ribs instead of 12.
Right.
And her bones were aged to
Like
that of
7
like a
years old.
6 to 8 year old.
Right,
I think
right.
is what they said. Yes.
Right. So, and they called the mummy Atta, and this has been going on since 2003.
That's when it was found.
Yeah. So it's everybody's sort of, this thing's been around a while. You know what I'm saying? So, and anything like Chilean desert is so UFO to me. That just always put hand in hand. But here's my problem with it. If they'd have come to us and said, this is a big lump of coal.
Right.
I would have been okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what this thing was from the very first time I ever seen this. I thought, well, that's fake.
Yeah, it looks like somebody carved it.
Yeah, like this is fake. This is oily looking and fake. And it's if they'd have told me it was squirrel bones, I would have totally bought that.
Right.
And
right.
but now they come out and they say that it is human, and there's so many abnormalities here. But that just makes it really strange to me, because if you just take the elongated skull out of it, even if she had all these problems, her bone density being that of a 7-year-old, and she's 6 inches.
And supposedly stillborn or died as soon as she was born.
Everything's formed.
Right.
And that's not how babies work.
No, I mean,
they just don't work that way. And so it's really problematic for me because there is a lot of unfortunate deaths with young babies.
Right.
And none of them look like that.
No, I agree.
So it's just, if I wish they had just come out and said it was silly putty.
It's been easier to believe.
Yeah. And they're trying to say Atta probably passed away like 40 years ago. They're not sure.
They don't really know because they haven't done any specific dating of the skeleton. I think it's odd that, it had to be a while ago because she was mummified, and I'm pretty sure that's not really a practice that goes on anymore. They did say that when they did the DNA analysis that supposedly her DNA is most closely resembled that of other Chileans, but that there was a European ancestry there as well. So they did like the whole DNA profile.
So it may have been Viking.
It may have been.
A little bit.
Slightly.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's very strange.
It is very strange. It looks like a hybrid.
It does.
Like, maybe it didn't work that time.
That it could be part human. Maybe that's what they're drawing off of.
It's just very strange.
But that's the results, and I guess that'll be published soon. All of the intricate details or whatever of the DNA analysis.
It's just funny because it's one of those that, not everything has to be something.
No, exactly.
And this was one that I really didn't expect to be anything.
No, I know.
It wasn't even on my radar. Because I see them testing stuff like that, and I'm like, hey, okay.
Yeah, you see pictures of it, and the first thing you think is, that's not real.
Yeah, it's just like when I see, scat being tested. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of hope I have on them coming back and going, nope, never seen this scat before. Even though that happens.
How did they get that name? Scat.
I don't know. Scat to me sounds dirtier than any other poop. Why do we have so many names for poop?
I don't know.
There's a lot of names for poop.
There are.
It rivals the names we have for junk. Because we have a lot of names for our junk. Like
you have a lot of names for your junk, maybe.
Well, no, female junk has a lot of names.
It does.
Quite a few. And I'm sure everybody listening right now is just like rifling through all those names. I'm not going to do that to you. And male junk has quite a few names. And there's very few that they share. But junk is one of the ones that they share as a common name for both pieces. Then when you get to scat, there's like scat, crap, poop, duty. There's so many names.
My favorite are the cutesy names you give it for your kids.
Yeah.
A Tinky.
Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Yeah. You make it a grumpy because they're making a little face like, make it a little grumpy.
Okay. I think we should rail back onto track here.
All right. I'm just saying. It's one of those things that go,
Yeah, something to think about. All right, well, let's move on to this next story. This is a story.
Do you think when you're from another country and they're teaching you English, and we know all the problems of English, right?
There's a lot of problems.
There's so many words that sound exactly the same, or
they make all these rules, but then break them all.
Just completely stupid stuff, right? And do you think that when they're teaching people from another country, like a very nice country, and they come here, about them, like we have 36 words for poop, be careful because they all mean poop in different ways. It depends on how terrible and anguishing the poop was.
I suppose they'd have to take a separate English slang class or something.
I want to teach that.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting.
Can't anybody that speaks English go and teach English?
I have no idea. I'm sure there has to be some kind of,
I'm talking about for like a third world country.
Credentials, I suppose.
I mean, if you're brave enough to go, right? If you're brave enough to go and you speak the language, I would be a perfect English teacher on the English slang class. Thank you very much. We could do like a dual thing. You could tell them the proper things, And I could give him like a whole...
I'm just picturing the beginning of that movie Stripes where the guy's teaching English and all he teaches them is how to sing that song. That would be you.
All right. Continue. Touche.
Okay, so let's go on to our next story.
Okay, cool.
And this is about the Dyatlov Pass. The 9 hikers mysteriously died back in 1959. All
right, this is one of our favorite stories.
One of our favorite mysteries.
Just because this one has elements of so many things. I'm sure a lot of the listeners are already familiar with this, but for those of you who are not,
okay,
the Dyatlov Pass incident is so eerie. And I think that it's the first kind of real life found footage deal.
It is.
And that's what makes it so creepy. Like 50 years before Blair Witch, there was Dyatlov. And you know what? Actually, 40 years before Blair Witch was the late 90s. There was Dyatlov. And the eerie part of it is all the pictures. Like there's pictures. Guys, there's pictures from the very first of this expedition. They were very well trained mountaineers. I mean, they did this a lot. What was it? How many men? How many women?
Well, so what happened was back in January 1959, it was like 8 men and 2 women were going on this expedition through the mountains, like the Ural Mountains. And the leader was named Igor Dyatlov. That's how they got the name for the pass.
Right.
And they hiked out. Everything was going well. They had diaries, cameras. They noted everything. They took, like you said, they found all kinds of stuff because they found all of their camera pictures, all of their diaries. They found all of the things that they had been doing. And they even found the dead bodies, but nobody can explain what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's very odd. I mean, there's been times, I mean, you think like there was one member of the team got sick before they actually started going up Dead Mountain.
Yes.
Because they got to Dead Mountain.
Dead Mountain.
Because that's what the local tribes and the indigenous people there called it that. Now, that's creepy in its own way.
It is, because they don't name indigenous people like that. They didn't name things for no reason.
It's like Maine.
Maine
has, people that have been here forever, and these things were named Water Street, Cold River. I mean,
If you have a road that goes by a factory, it's like Factory Road. I mean,
it's very literal, and that's a lot of your places are like that. So Dead Mountain is just weird, in its own way, but there was one guy that got sick.
He got sick like maybe a week into the trip, like very early.
Yeah.
And he headed back.
Which would be suspect 1 normally,
Right. And the rest of the group went on. And it was a long time before they got to get out there. Once they realized that there was a problem, once they realized that they were missing, it was quite some time before they got out to Dead Mountain to find them.
Yeah, it was like a month. It was like February 26th.
Right. So when they got there, they found the camp.
Right.
And they found the tent, and the tent had been cut open from the inside.
That's one of those pieces that are always crazy.
Yes, very strange. And all of their equipment was there inside the tent, orderly. It's just that the tent had been cut open from the inside with a knife. And they saw some footprints going down the mountain, and they followed them. And that's how they found all of the bodies of all the hikers.
So here you're probably thinking, well, one of them was psychotic, or some kind of weather event or something like that, except for the cuts from the inside. Now, some of the strange parts to this, the strangest parts of it, it comes into like UFO abduction world.
That's what I feel too.
A lot of people put this on Yetis.
Right.
But the problem with that, I agree. That could totally be it with the knife from the inside of the tent.
Right.
If you stop right there, you're like Yeti.
Right.
But they found some of the bodies down the hill, basically, and then they found the other bodies other place. Then they found a couple that were just completely had traumatic, terrible, horrible injuries.
Yeah, they likened it to a car
crash.
Yeah. And they said there was no way another human could cause those injuries.
Yeah, that's bold statements.
Yeah, because they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Right. So these are, and when they did find the other bodies, it was like they had left the tent orderly. Now this is what's weird. They were damn near naked, but they had walked orderly. They weren't running when they found these bodies. And that's kind of weird, guys. So it's like, if it was a UFO thing, you're kind of, under hypnosis,
or disoriented, or something like that. And they found a couple of the bodies where the people looked like they were trying to get back to the tent and had died of exposure on the way because they were not properly dressed.
What if they were abducted and then dropped, and but not near their tent? Right,
and the ones that were really injured could have been dropped from a higher. A higher part.
Yeah, I mean, it's very vicious, and
it is.
The crazy part here, besides the fact that humans couldn't have done this, like the cracked skulls and all that, was the radiation was found on some of the clothing.
Yes,
that shouldn't be there.
Right,
high amounts of radiation.
And one thing I noticed that was not said about the story is when they were talking about seeing the footprints, there were no other footprints. They were just the footprints from the hikers.
Yeah, and then you get into the most gruesome part. Because the radiation, that's crazy, right?
It is.
But then you get into the most gruesome part. Some of them had their eyes scooped out. And one lady was missing her tongue.
Her tongue, yeah.
Yeah. It was classic cattle mutilation type stuff.
Yeah.
So it's basically if the human were cattle, in the time frame, 1959, that's the high UFO time.
Right. And they did do a full investigation, even a criminal investigation.
Oh, I love their findings.
The head of the investigation, eventually he closed it, and his explanation
cause of death
was unknown compelling force that the hikers could not overcome.
Yeah. So
that was his conclusion.
That sounds like a band name too. Yeah. Unknown compelling force.
Unknown compelling force.
Yeah. And all these years later, that's still one of our favorite cases.
Yes.
Just because there's so many elements to it. But the one thing is, something happened.
Well, there's so much evidence.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no explanation. That's what I find so intriguing is there's so many pictures and there's so many diary entries, and they found the bodies and they have everything.
They had to tell us. They had to tell us because being where it was, okay, this is my theory. Being where it was, they probably sent out some local hikers because they waited, like when they went in the end of February, that had been a month.
Right.
So they sent people out that were local villagers and other people that knew the mountain.
Yeah, knew the area.
And stuff like that. So these are real people. These are not government agents, right?
Right.
So they go out there and they find this crap that is just ungodly, unbelievable, right? Atrocious. So you can't hide that because these are real people.
Right. They've seen it.
Yeah, they've seen it. Exactly. So the only reason we know anything about this is because real people found these people.
Yeah, because you knew they weren't going to not say anything.
We would have never heard anything.
Right.
So my question for you is, if this is what they have told us,
right,
what do they know about it that they have not told us?
Right.
It's probably a amazing deal because they would not have told us anything. Do not fool yourselves. We are being lied to. Everything is being hidden from you. This kind of stuff happens, quite often. There are mysteries in this world, and there's a lot of, UFO abductions that do happen, and they're just being lied to, and they make fun of people, and they laugh at it, and like, oh my God, this is, whatever, this guy's crazy, right? Well, no, it happens. It's real. And this is one of those stories where they had to tell us. And so I love the story. And, what is the story you have?
So this new story is about a tourist who has disappeared there.
Oh.
And what happened was he has
go out there?
Disappeared without a trace. So the man's name is Alexander Andreev. He's Russian. And he was reported lost in the past after venturing out on his own. Like he was making his own expedition, and he was expected to return on February 27th, but he never returned. And so a group of local volunteers, like you said, launched a rescue mission because they know the area to attempt to find him, but they have not found anything. The last thing they have is a message from him dated February 17th in which he said that everything was going well. And up until that point, everything was going perfectly well. And now he's missing no trace. Like they haven't found him at all. He failed to register with the local search and rescue service. So they didn't know what path he was planning on taking. And they didn't really even know he was missing until his family was like, hey, he didn't come back. And he's actually the third person in the last couple of years that has died or gone missing, in that area. I'm with you. I don't know what would possess you to want to go up there. It doesn't say why he was making this trek.
He was even up there at the same time of year that these hikers went.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was a mission to kind of research
the hikers were
that.
Found on the 26th of February. He was set to come back the 27th.
He was, yes.
That almost sounds like some kind of paranormal thing.
It does. But he's definitely missing without a trace. So if there is some kind of alien abduction thing, you know, it could be that.
Well, I mean, it goes back to, you know, you think about national parks, right? And all the missing people and the abductions and the weirdness that that's associated with national parks.
Right.
And we were talking about that on Haunted South, man, back in the Dizzy.
Yes.
And you know, it's crazy. Now reading all the books from David Pilates, just all the cases.
Right.
It's insanity how many cases are out there and how much they're covered up.
Yes. Well, this area is a place, you know, there's a mountain there. It's very remote. You know, people don't just go there all the time. I mean, if there was going to be a place to abduct people, I guess that would be
prime abduction real estate.
Yeah, because people obviously could go missing very easily. Nobody would immediately jump to alien abduction.
So do you think there's like alien realty? And you got like this she's like probably like a middle-aged housewife. Had a little midlife crisis, decided to get her license, and she's selling homes now. But she's actually selling, you know, just land to other aliens, and she probably wears a wig even though they don't have hair, you know. They probably got this like blonde wig on and everything.
Big hair.
Oh yeah. And she's just like, wow, we've got this one area here. It's prime for abductions. There's all kinds of hikers.
You want to go around January?
Yeah. So basically, she just sells them places they can fly their little ship.
Right.
You know, and
like a hunting. Like, here you go. Yeah. This land's good for hunting.
Right. They've got nice tongues in this area.
That's horrible.
It is. That's terrible. Should not have said that or imagined the tongue necklace.
So I'm gonna keep looking up for that. See if they ever find him. Just keep up with that one. All right, let's move on. Away from tongue necklaces. So this is a story about the U.S. military.
You'd wear it if you were an alien. Well, you wear a tongue necklace.
I mean, if I was an alien, and that was something to be proud of.
Oh, I would be proud of it. I'd have some crazy. I'd want like Gene Simmons tongues. I'd have like the longest tongues out there. Maybe that's how they figure out. You know how hunters are like, oh, I got a 14-point buck. You know, I got a 13-point buck. Maybe they got like, you know, I got a 7-inch tongue. You know, and they've got all these tongues around.
I hope not.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So this story is about the U.S. military and how they're creating non-lethal weapons. And so this recent thing that they are creating is...
Sorry, it sounds like the comfy pillow from Monty Python. Not the comfy pillow.
So this is a video of them testing out using lasers to create voices out of thin air.
Oh, wow.
It's very strange.
That is very strange.
It's very strange. And it's being touted as being done by the non-lethal weapons program. And so they can use it as a non-lethal weapon.
They want to screw with people's minds?
I don't know. This was my question. I'm glad you're on the same page here.
It's like the shout from Skyrim.
Because now you can...
where you learn to shout, where it just it throws voice and says like bad things, like "Hey, skeever face."
Well, whenever you watch this video, they have this thing that spins around, and there's lasers that shoot at it. And the second time it happens, you actually can hear what sounds like a voice. It sounds very similar to what you hear coming out of like Frank's box or something. You know, it's very like robotic-y sounding voice, but they've made it just from lasers.
Maybe they're actually shooting ghosts and don't realize it.
And they're like,
"Holy crap." Ow, quit it.
What they're hoping to be able to make it say intelligible words within the next 3 years to add it to their non-lethal weapon arsenal. I don't understand what the purpose of this weapon is, though.
I love it, though.
I mean, what?
I want that.
Well, it's concerning. I think it's concerning because they're saying it's a non-lethal weapon and everybody's like, oh, yes, non-lethal weapon. That sounds great. But what are they going to use it for, really? What are they going to create phantom voices for, really? What is that going to do?
Well, I honestly think this one sounds like there's something paranormal to it.
Yeah.
This one to me sounds like you're dealing with light, you're dealing with lasers, you're dealing with messing with the air, creating you know, energy that creates voices. That's weird.
It is.
Where do you get the voices of that? I mean, this is like that road you drive on and you hear the song. This is just strange.
Right. They call it laser-induced plasma effect.
Do they?
That's what they call it.
That's awesome. They call it that. It's weird.
It is weird. It's weird. And they said this article claims that it sounds like a haunted walkie-talkie. That is kind of what it sounds like. I just don't understand the purpose of it. Like, ultimately, this guy who's running this division, this, non-lethal weapons division, he wants a single system that can produce multiple effects using noise, light, and heat, and to replace a wide variety of non-lethal weapons that they've been testing. But this one with the voices, I thought it was so strange because I just don't understand what they would use that for.
No, it's totally like they're trying to develop it for something else.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, there has to be another reason.
Unless you're wanting to scare, they're
trying to give them heart attacks. Yeah, like, we don't want to shoot them, but we're gonna give them cardiac arrest. They have to go to the hospital, weaken them a bit.
They showed us spiders in matchboxes.
We just want them to pee themselves. That's all. It's fine. We can say we won. I don't know. That is
so weird.
It is very strange.
I mean, if they wanted to be able to develop what words it's going to say. I mean, they could find out about their enemy and it'd be like, "Hello, Henry."
Yeah, I don't know.
You need to stop fighting. You need to go home.
Well,
I love you, Henry. It
seemed to me that they couldn't really control what was coming out.
It's just nuts. They can't control what's coming out because they're shooting ghosts. I'm telling you.
It's very strange.
That's what it seems like. Who even came up with that? I mean, how do you figure that out? Here's what I imagine. They're in the laser lab, right?
Right.
And they're sitting around and they're just firing their little lasers.
They're shooting them at each other.
They have their goggles on.
They are.
They have their goggles on. They're trying to get through the metal and whatnot. And, or they've got cause they probably got a cat tied up there because they're just sickos or something. And they're just bored. I don't know. And they're just firing at stuff. They're just, trying to mess with stuff. And I can only imagine that they were firing a laser, and all of a sudden they heard voices.
Right.
Okay, here's where the humor comes in.
Right.
So they're firing a laser and they hear something like, "Stop it." And they're like, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And this is where a skeptic's mind would do this. So a skeptic would be like, "Oh, that had to be the laser." "Oh, I'm sure it was, Bob. I heard it too." And then they do it again, and it's like, eat your soul. And they're like, "Did you hear that?" "Yeah, it sounded like I feel whole." And so they're like, "It must be the laser. Let's spend billions of dollars, billions of dollars, and create this." I don't know. What the hell is it for?
I don't know. And where's all those people that claim that you don't really hear voices and that stuff, that it's just matrixing or whatever? And I mean, how could you control that? Everybody would hear something different.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, everybody'd be like, one guy'd be like, "Did you hear that? Yeah, it said we need to go over there. No, it said we needed to share. I don't know.
We need to grow purple hair." Yeah.
I mean, it would be weird. I don't know.
They'll have to they'll have to hire the crew from Ghost Adventures to subtitle it. Be like, so we can all hear the same thing. I believe that said demon.
Of course it did.
Demon.
Well, I'll link to the video. You guys can watch it, decide for yourselves, and see if you can figure out what in the heck it's for.
When I was talking nice about Zach last week, I failed to rib on him for the one thing that does bother me.
What's that?
On Zach Bagans. Bagans.
That nobody can pronounce his last name. Is that the thing that bothers you?
No, the thing that bothered me was his pronunciations.
Oh yeah.
When he over
enunciates things.
Over enunciates, over pronounces. Yeah. And he's just like, I can't even think of a good one right now, but there's so many.
Oh, I know. That's a good source of entertainment for the show. I love it when he comes up with a nugget.
Oh yeah. When he's sitting there trying to sound so professor. And he's just like, "And that's when I first discovered that the ghost, it was the first time I heard him say the Luigi board." That's what it was. Because he's like, I don't know. I've always called it Ouija.
Right.
But he calls it like Uaji or Ua. Sure. It's something weird, man.
It's weird.
That's when we seen the Ouija board. And
I'm pretty sure we were like, what's he talking about?
Yeah. What board is that? We've never seen that board.
We've never heard of that one. Yeah. Wow, we're missing out.
The Demon. Sorry.
That's all right. All right, so let's move on to another story. So this is a story about a discovery. Because we got to have one of those, you know. So this is a story from Alexandria, Virginia, where archaeologists have uncovered the remains of 2 centuries-old ships that likely date back to the late 17 or 1800s. They were doing construction work at the waterfront. They were building a hotel.
This is a hotel?
And they were digging, and they actually found the remains of these 2 ships. So they've had to halt the construction, and it's closed off. The public's not allowed to go there. You can't see it from the street, but they do have people coming in to examine it and determine what the next steps should be. So it's very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I just imagine how pissed off the guy was that was building.
The guy that's building the hotel. It's called Hotel Indigo.
You would never find out. That thing would have been discovered the next day, like down the street.
Like burning it down the street, all put together in ship form. Oh look! Wow, imagine that. Look what the storm uncovered.
I was gonna say this wasn't washed up overnight. It's crazy. We got the hotel done though. Thanks. I'm sorry. I'm all about history and stuff, but people go a little bit crazy.
Well, they're really excited because they're Revolutionary War era ships, and they haven't found that many of those in that area.
I could never be an archaeologist. And I would love to be an archaeologist, but I couldn't be an archaeologist just because of things. It's like when you're watching that Oak Island show, and they bring Laird in to the archaeologist.
Who just agrees with everything they say.
Well, no, I mean, but he won't let him dig. Like,
no, that's true.
You know, and so that bothers me because here's the thing. All right. I get it that states and countries and stuff are just like, oh, no. I don't care if you found that big gold trunk down there. We have to make sure it's not going to mess anything up. It's not going to hurt.
To preserve
We're going to make sure the crawfish are okay. And screw the crawfish. All right. Screw the whole ecosystem. The reason we don't find anything is because people can't get over themselves. We just need to go. I would blow the side off the pyramid. Like if I could have all the control on it, I'd be like, give me some TNT. We're going to blow this bastard up and we're going to see what the is inside of it. And
we can put it back together later. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least just blow the side of it off. It's not going to hurt that much.
A little bitty hole.
Yeah. No. The little bitty holes is what makes me mad. It's like, well, let's snake this down through here and make sure. Oh, it looks like there's a room down there. We'll talk about it again in 10 years. No, let's dig it up. Okay, just start digging. I would honestly go with these big like earth movers over to Egypt and just start digging. Just start digging and let's just find it because, you know, all this stuff.
The problem is you don't know where it is. So if you start digging with big earth movers, you could break stuff.
They're just lying to us. They know there's stuff there.
No, I know. But if you dig, you could break things. And then how would you be able to see them if you broke them when you were digging?
It's people like you that keep us from finding anything. And we would break one up and then we'd...
I would love to be an archaeologist, but I don't have the patience for it. Yeah. Because, I mean, I wouldn't blow stuff up, but I don't want to painstakingly dig tiny layers of dirt out of the ground layer at a time. You know, I want to dig. I want to get it out of there.
I don't get that excited about there's a piece of a plate. Okay. So you wouldn't even hear from me. Like I would have them over in the side. I wouldn't even put them in a baggie. They'd be like, they'd come over, they'd be like,
look at this trashy old pottery. Throwing it.
What do you have there, John? Oh, that's clay. I believe that's some kind of ceramic. And that I'm not really sure, but I'm not going to take the time to wash it off because it's really nasty.
I'm looking for something whole, a whole mummy, a whole piece of pottery. Just screw that other stuff. It's fine.
I think we just need to. Hey, you know what it is? They're getting. I bet you they're getting paid, like I bet it's something to do with how long and like they have to
paid by the hour.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's move on. So this is kind of a cool little story. It is about a photograph that was discovered in the San Jose archives, and it is a photograph of a Victorian farmhouse that they're saying is the foundation of the Winchester Mystery House before the Winchesters started changing it. And they posted it, the Winchester Mystery House had the picture and they posted it on Instagram, and you can look at it and it does look very similar to, like, if you look at them side by side, it does look like that was the original house.
Wow.
And there's two people in the photo. One's a woman on a bench and one of them's on a horse. And they said that it could possibly be Mrs. Winchester sitting down and her favorite niece on the horse. They're not saying that that's definitely what it is, but they're saying that that's a good possibility. And if it is, it's only like the second known photo of Mrs. Winchester ever found. So when I found this article, this is something that's funny. And, you know, we talked about earlier about little things that kind of bother me.
Right.
This is one of the, when there's news reports that just are so weird, that bothers me. So this one, the headline of it is "Never Before Seen Photo of Winchester Mystery House Discovered." Do you see the problem with that?
I do. Absolutely.
And they go on and talk about a never before seen photo of the famous Winchester Mystery House. So I'm pretty sure, if you don't get it, that the photo has been seen before. Pretty sure the photographer saw it. Winchesters probably saw it. Whoever put it in the archives, they saw it. It's been seen. It's just long lost.
Right,
it is a long lost photograph of the Winchester Mystery House.
Your problem is the
way they reported it, because they were like, "Oh, never before seen photo." Yeah.
So for you, the devil is indeed in the details.
It is.
That's what bothers you.
It did bother me. No. But I thought the story was cool because the picture's awesome if you look at it. And it is, I actually went back and forth between the pictures to try and figure it out if that was really what that was. I'm pretty sure it's the house before Sarah Winchester got to it.
Well, I think that's a whole problem with society today. There's a lot of people that I know that are liars. And the thing about it is they're very impressive people. I had a friend once who actually went to a big wrestling company. And then he went to WWE. He won gold at WWE.
Right.
Okay. But he still had to lie about everything. This guy couldn't just tell you, you know, hey, I did this and I went to WWE and I was a champion there.
Right.
He had to talk about being a pit fighter in Japan. Okay. A pit fighter. That was the terms he used, not me. So, and the guy was great. He's deadly interesting.
Right.
You know, good looking guy, in shape, funny, all this stuff. Right. But just I think that's a problem with people is like this story. It would be very interesting if they were just not so over the top with it, if they were just being honest.
Right.
And I think that if we would all take a little bit of that minimalist that you have,
right,
that we could actually build things correctly, because everything has to be like the clickbait titles has to be most gruesome horror, most, you know, and it's not the most haunted, you know, it's not the ultimate. And I get the TV, but I mean, man, look, I'm a PT Barnum at heart. I am a promoter. I get it. Right. But I also don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. Right. Exactly. Because that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So I don't know. I get what you're saying. Absolutely. And a weird analogy, I know, but nonetheless.
At least you understood
you just want it to be more accurate descriptions.
Yes. So. And not things that are silly.
Right.
Definitely. All right. So yeah, go and check out that picture. Very cool. Okay, so let's move on. This is a really strange story. This is about the freak orange snowstorms.
Oh my God, don't eat orange snow.
It's orange. Yes. And there are pictures. So it was a weather incident that turned the snow an eerie shade of orange in at least 4 countries. So weird. Russia, Bulgaria, Ukraine, and Romania. Yeah. So it's gone viral. The pictures and the videos have gone viral. And there's ski resorts where it just looks so weird. Orange and brown.
It's
and just
scary, man.
Craziness. So the experts have come in and they've blamed the weird snow on a combination of sand and pollen. And some have even said that it was likely the result of winds blowing sand in from the Sahara Desert, which
they're saying it picked it up in the Sahara. Right. And like big dust storms in the Sahara and it got up in the atmosphere, went over the Mediterranean. Right. And just dropped it, mixed in with the snow and everything in the clouds, and it fell. Which is insane. So why hasn't this happened to this extent before? Because the desert's been there a while.
I know. And they didn't say there was any kind of extra strange weather events just that this snow is now orange. And it's very strange. They predict that it would return to normal within days.
Yeah.
But they don't know. They don't know that that's going to happen. No, and they don't really know how it turned orange.
It's very, very crazy. It is weird. You can imagine that some girl blamed her drunk uncle for drinking too much freaking Kool-Aid in the middle of the night. It's like don't drink don't eat orange snow. I don't know, man. It's apocalyptic looking.
It is. It's really crazy. And there's pictures. You'll have to absolutely go look at those because it's very strange.
And what's really bad about this is, you know, when the snow melts, a lot of times that's your water. I mean, like it warms up and the snow melts and it fills up the reservoirs. And do you want to drink?
Yeah. Who knows what that is?
Yeah. You don't really know.
No, because
I don't trust them.
I mean, what if there was planes up above there flying and laying chemtrails or UFOs spouting things?
Yeah, we just watched another video here recently because we watch so much stuff for the show.
We do.
And every day at some point we're sending each other stories and crazy things that we've picked up over the years as sources or reliable sources. And we just seen one recently where this plane was captured from a commercial airline. They captured a ship or a UFO below them in the clouds, and it looked like it was unleashing stuff in the clouds, which we see quite often.
But it was black.
Yeah, it was black.
It was really crazy looking.
It was. It was just nuts. But, you know, obviously we can't do those stories on the show.
Well, no, because they're just videos.
We'd be trying to build visuals for you, which I guess we just did. But, you know, it's just interesting. I don't know.
It is. Well, I know that there's a couple ski resorts where some of the pictures were from where people were trying to ski. And I guess they're still just going to ski even though the snow is orange.
Not me, buddy.
You'd be like, I'm out of here.
No.
You wouldn't ski anyway. Let me point out the video of that crazy ski lift accident in Georgia, the country, Georgia, where you sent me it and you were like, this is why I don't like ski lifts. No. And like it was going in reverse and flying and people were getting flung out all over the place.
My God, it was so horrible. Those little babies. I mean,
I don't think anybody was killed. I think there were some people that were injured, but I'm pretty sure.
A lot of people that'll never ski again.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So
obviously.
Listen, I don't like, now this is just me, but I don't like things that tempt fate. I don't like roller coasters.
Right.
I know you love roller coasters.
I do, which is weird because I'm afraid of heights.
I don't like them. Like I got on a loop-de-loop as my first roller coaster. It didn't scare me like that. It was just the thought hit me. Why do I want to do this?
Right.
For me, it just doesn't make sense. And you know, even like planes and stuff, I don't particularly like them because I'm a very mechanical person.
Right.
And
it doesn't make sense how that big plane
I don't like messing with physics. And I don't know. It's just very strange to me. But yeah, no, not for me. The ski lifts are horrifying.
Yes.
And I don't like not being in control. That's it. I'm a control freak.
There you go. I'm glad we got to the root of that problem.
Yeah. This happened to me this past week too. I was speaking in that review thing.
Right.
And I was speaking with my lovely boss.
Right.
My boss's boss. And she was talking to me and I was going around this circle and I was like, it's not because I'm a control freak and I can just see your eyes, you know. I'm like, so I'm a control freak. Yes. And I really am. I can't stand not being in control.
But at least you know.
I know, and that's half the battle.
Admitting is half the battle. That's right. All right. Well, I've got a couple more stories here. So this is a story about NASA's clean room, where they store the samples that they bring back from space before they're tested. So apparently NASA's clean room is contaminated with fungus.
Damn it, Thurman. You had one job. What have you been doing in there? I don't know, nothing. You're gonna go blind, boy. You're gonna go blind. What kind of fungus is among us?
Well, they claim that it's a terrestrial fungus. Like it's not anything from space.
Oh God.
They made it a point to say that it's a terrestrial fungus and nothing from
space herpes.
You know, spacey, exactly. And they claim that,
pirates.
All of the samples have several lines of defense and that none of the fungus has contaminated any of the samples. They made that very clear. But they do have new samples coming from Mars and from the asteroid Bennu, the one that they're trying to deflect with odd things. We'll have to talk about that in a second. Yeah. But they did tests in there. They swabbed the floor. They looked at like the filtration system and stuff, and they found fungus growing in there. And it was just very eye-opening for them that it wasn't as clean as they expected it to be.
This is so strange. This is why we can't have nice things. I know. All right. So this is the plot of not a good movie.
No, a very bad movie.
This is a very bad B movie, okay, from like 1978, because we all know things are scarier in the 70s.
That's right.
And this is the fungus, and there's some dumb spokesman who is blaming Thurman. I can just see the start of this movie, can't you? Like I could see the guy in there, and he's being really, really careful, and he's kind of nerdy, and he's like,
right,
and he's got names for the stuff in there, like
hello, sample 34B. You're looking very nice today. You're very. I'll call you Olivia.
Oh. And he goes out and he locks the door, and he's so clean, and everybody's picking on him, right?
Right.
And they're like, what's up, Thurman? You've been in there for your jars. Do you naming them?
That's a good one, Greg. That's a good one.
And he takes off all this stuff really careful, and he washes his hands, and you see some guy in there, and he comes out of the bathroom, like he's in the break room, you know.
Right.
And the guy comes out of the bathroom, and he's like probably an actual astronaut. He's like he's picking his ass, and he's just he doesn't wash his hands, and Thurman's like,
did you not wash your hands?
Did you? Shut up, Thurman. So then our story goes on, because what happens is they find a fungus, you know, in there, and they start blaming Thurman for not being clean or whatever. And Thurman, he's really upset, and he goes back in there. And he just can't figure out what happened. But
you know what he does? He touches the fungus.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going.
He touches the fungus. Yes.
He touches the fungus because he just couldn't believe it. His heart's broken, and it turns him into this alien super Mega Man.
Aliens.
That just starts destroying all these people who picked on him.
And that is exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's how the article ends.
And just when they're having their press conference, and they're like, there is absolutely nothing that is not terrestrial in there. We have one man that has a masturbation problem named Thurman, and we truly believe that it may be a combination of Vaseline intensive care lotion and heartbreak.
And sweat. Well, see, I was really disappointed with this, because to me, you know, this is where NASA is bringing samples from space that they want to test. You know, I want there to be.
Why did you just look behind me?
I didn't.
Your eyes did something weird, like where you're looking behind me. Freak me out like that. God, I hate when people do that.
It's my programming. I apologize. Anyway.
Yeah, you just completely went offline. Like you're sitting here talking, all of a sudden your eyes just go just over to the side, all wonky, like right behind me, like you do when you're kids and you're trying to scare someone and you look above them.
I didn't know what you were looking around for.
And you're kind of like, Mom, you know, holy crap, don't do that.
I'm sorry, I'll try to. Anyway, you know, I was really disappointed with this, because it's supposed to be a clean room. Like, I want Independence Day, Area 51 level clean security room. You know, that's what I expect. Instead, this is like, you know, maybe they wash their hands before they go in. I mean, I don't know. This is bad. I think this is bad.
I do too, because you have to throw out all that stuff. Like, if we go by the way you make me do evidence, then all that stuff has to be thrown out.
Right.
You can't trust a damn thing on there.
Because you have no idea if it's really been contaminated or not. It even says in this article that an astrobiologist, Daniel Glavin of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, he's actually questioning some of the results that he's gotten from some of the tests he's done before.
Well, yeah, because you don't know if
you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know if it's Thurman. You don't know what it is.
I feel like in a couple months that place is going to be draped with tarps, and they're going to have people in suits going in there to,
as it should be. I mean,
to test that weird fungus.
Right now, like you said, they have to get rid of everything. I mean, they won't.
No, they're going to play it off like nothing's wrong. Well, it's funny because I was talking about how they were getting samples from that asteroid, Bennu. And that was the one where we talked about how they were getting the ideas of how to deflect it just in case it possibly maybe might hit Earth.
And that's where we didn't want to miss a thing.
Right, exactly. So there's this other story where some guy proposed that they didn't need to blow it up or with nuclear things, that they could just deflect it with paint.
Like like paint.
Paint.
Like a giant paintball gun that they launched to space.
It didn't say how they were going to get the paint up there. His theory is that if you painted half of it, it would change like some kind of thermal something on it, and it would cause it to deflect. I don't know. I just picture some little dude up there with a mustache and a white painter's outfit and a bucket and a brush, like painting half of the asteroid.
I'm going to like propose a theory just so people will read it.
Right.
That we disguise the Earth and
big glasses.
confuse the asteroid.
We just need a giant pair of glasses and a fake mustache.
We believe this will throw the trajectory off from confusion.
It'd be hard to put those glasses on that flat Earth.
Everybody turn your lights out. They won't be able to see us.
Oh, you know what? Earth's flat. We just got to like tip it on its side, and then it'd be harder to hit, right?
Be nice. Yes.
Okay, so this last story is about Kim Wilde. Yes, Kids in America.
Yes. My playlist, my personal always playlist.
I knew that you liked her, yes. So apparently she is making a return to music after all these years.
My God, she's got to be old.
Well, I mean, not terribly.
No.
Not terribly. But she claims that she's returning to music because of a UFO sighting.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. She told BBC that she left music, she got married, she raised her children.
And grandchildren.
But in 2009, she was sitting in her garden at home. She was drinking a little wine, with her husband, some friends and stuff. And that she looked up in the sky and she saw this huge bright light behind a cloud. And it was brighter than the moon, but kind of similar. But it wasn't the moon. She knows that it was not the moon. And she said to her husband and her friend, she's like, that's really odd. And so they went to look at it. And she said all of a sudden it moved very quickly from like 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, just really fast. And then back again. And it just kept going back and forth for several minutes. And it was really silent, like absolutely silent. And she said that she thinks about it every day. And it gave her an idea for a new album, Here Come the Aliens.
And the cover of that album is amazing. Mm-hmm. So I knew she was back, and the album is very pulp looking, like the cover of a 1950s B movie UFO thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why in the heck did she name her album that?
Well, now you know. Yeah. Because she actually had this sighting, and it was very inspirational for her.
I'll have to listen to it.
And her comeback tour starts on March 30th. And definitely go and check that out.
So, Kim, if you're listening, I absolutely love everything you do. The old thing wasn't personal. It was just kind of figuring it out. I got in trouble when I was a kid, calling my great-grandmother old.
Yes. Parents don't like you to do that.
I was
if it's true.
I was very forward, and I liked to tell people the truth because I can't keep up with lies.
Right.
And it bothers me. I don't know how people that are like proficient liars can actually do that, like who you lied to about what.
Right.
But I would just tell people, I like telling people straight up, like, if you look bad in the dress, I want to tell you look bad in the dress because I don't think that you should walk outside looking that way in the dress. Now, my life has been a struggle of balancing people's feelings with, telling them the truth.
Right.
And nobody knows this more than you.
No, I know.
The good thing for you is you always look good in the dress.
Aww.
So it's not been that big of a problem.
Right.
But I remember getting in trouble for asking my great-grandmother how old she was and her telling me and me going, jeez, that's really old, And of course, then she went and told on me, which I've always thought was kind of uncool. Like, I still think it's kind of uncool. Like, why did she go rat me out,
I don't know. Because she was old? That's why.
But I got a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
Well, I think you can go on this article and you can read, about her interview that she did with BBC. And I think she talked about how when she got out of music, it was kind of about the time Madonna was starting. Yeah. And, she felt like she couldn't keep up, like she just wasn't. Her heart wasn't in it. So she feels like she can keep up now. Well, she just got inspired to come back, you know. So.
Well, last time I saw Madonna, she could probably keep up now. So.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that is all my news.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, that was some good stuff.
Yes, it was.
I appreciate it. It's the second half of the show was much better than the first half, and I think it was the Bay Leaf invasion.
Where we almost burned down our house.
Almost burned down our house with the bay leaves. Much better than the leaf blower guy. But hey, it was some awesome news, and I really appreciate the story with the Dyatlov Pass.
I knew you'd like that one.
Oh yeah, that excited me. Except for the fact there's a missing person.
Well, yeah, that's terrible. But I mean, you so like heartless. That. Oh, somebody died? Wow, that's great.
It's like, oh, we found it. This could be our lead story. It's so terrible. But if you want more terrible, ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything terrible. On Facebook, it's Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. There's a lot of terrible on there. On the Twitter, it's @Sideshow97. It's mostly terrible. On Instagram, Hot Terrible Damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. On YouTube.com/ParanormalSideshow. That's where you find the most sexy blog in the world, as the Till Death vlog with us. And you can also listen to this show there if you don't want to listen to it on a podcast server. Please take a quick moment to like, follow, subscribe, possess our podcast on iTunes, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc., etc., etc. Anywhere you listen, that's where we're at and how we're tracking you. So please follow us so we can find your house when we need to and watch you in the shower. Showcase your inner weirdo and support your favorite paranormal podcast. And as I said before, after you get done with that, please support us by checking out all of the t-shirt designs at TeePublic. That's teepublic.com/user/paranormal sideshow. You will find the believer shirts. Let us know if there's a believer shirt that we don't have that you think we should be believing in or putting it out there.
Yes.
Because we will put up the idea.
And you can get to the store from our website. There is a link on the Paranormal Sideshow website. It says store.
For lazy people.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Scientists are baffled shirt. You got Billy the Sideshow off, and you got hashtag mommy daddy time because it's about hashtag mommy daddy time. But yeah, go there and have a lot of fun.
There's even a shirt with a Ouija board.
Yes, there is. There is that shirt. But yeah, you should definitely go and check it out. And we appreciate every bit of support, and we appreciate everybody that hits the like buttons. And it's just about being one big happy family. Everybody reaches out to us. It means so much to us, and we always try to shock you by getting right back with you. One of us is always near it, and a lot of times during the day it'll be Stacey. It just depends, man. But a lot of times we just love talking to you guys, and it doesn't matter if there's 25, 35 messages a day. Really try to get back and get a hold of you and tell you thanks for listening and all this stuff, because it really means that much to us, and it always will. It always has. We've been doing this 8 years, and it still means as much to us as it did the first day, because this is something we love, and it's a labor of love, and you guys are all part of it. We're all one big happy paranormal weird family. So for my lovely wife Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.